Hey y'all, a quick note. During the making of this video, I unfortunately accidentally deleted quite a bit of it. I lost 2 whole hour-long recordings of me doing the drawings, and I lost the second half of my audio recording of the story. And it's really frustrating. This actually happened as of me recording this less than an hour ago. I'm very upset, but I ate some nuggets and I'm feeling a little better. Not great, but still better. And I'm just gonna redo it all now. So, as a note, the second drawing that you see me do is me redoing that drawing. But the picture being shown is the original one, because I still had to finish pieces, just not the recordings of me making them. So I haven't done that yet, but if the second one is kind of sloppy and weird looking and doesn't look like the last drawing, that's why. And the third drawing, when it got deleted, I still have the final version of the original one too, which is what I'm using, and I still had it open in my art program. So what I did, instead of just redoing the drawing, I did the undo button a bunch of times, then recorded myself doing the redo button, and that didn't go back all the way, and it's only 4 minutes. It's not great, but I've done the best that I can, and I really do not just want to redo the entire drawing, so yeah. But it's fine, just thought I'd tell you, because those 2 drawings might look a little weird, especially in comparison to the final ones that are shown. So that's why it's like that, and I hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, it's Nev, and welcome to another episode of Sketching Stories. This one is called The Middle by Scribbles of an Alley Cat over on Tumblr. Louise has always liked the sound doors make when slammed. To her, the way it rings out shouts on her behalf for the world to go to hell. It's her so-called kitchen cupboards this time, each one jerked open and then flung shut at least twice over, as if something worth eating will magically materialise in there if she just looks again. As if she hasn't gone through this whole song and dance 100 times by now. Stupid. In the end, she resigns herself to shoving a couple of squashed, half-stale pieces of bread into the chunky toaster, arms aching up to her shoulders in protest. Just another day. Hours and hours of getting pushed around by managers who wear their fancy watches like the bloody crown jewels, made to take care of other people's work as well as their own without a word of thanks, screamed and sworn at down the phone over things that are well above her pay grade, and, worse than anything, called by that name, the one she's told them isn't hers. But it conveniently keeps stuck in their minds anyway. So the usual crap, really. A crooked smile tugs at the corner of Louise's lips. All of that, day in, day out, for the sake of this shoebox of a flat, not worth the paper the lease was drawn up on, and whatever's on clearance at the supermarket. It's so stupid. But maybe not for much longer. Maybe. She rubs the bridge of her nose between stiff fingers, her mind turning its back on the never-ending daily grind, on the limp comb-over, mouth-breathing landlord who made her a better magpie than a human, and the gutters clogged with burnt-out cigarette ends and dirty needles. No wonder Sir no lands with the kind that have sneered down at people like her for so long. No streets you can stroll down without snotty faces looking at her back, and no alleys that are safe to cut through. And if she can just do this, she'll finally have a chance to pursue that part of herself, which everyone who thinks is their business have always dangled out of her reach. That body, that identity. Louise jerks like some kid just let off a firework right next door. Grey smoke curls through the measly excuse for her kitchen, flicking its fingers into her eyes. She snatches up a tea towel from the pile on the floor and flaps at the smoke along with it like a lunatic, while muttering every curse she knows through her teeth, till the stupid shrieking finally dies down, and she snorts mirthlessly at the sight, burying both hands in her hair. Of course, the toast has decided to burn to a crisp. In one movement, she rips the slices out of the toaster, even though the heat sears into her bare skin, and tosses them across the room into the bin. Whatever. She'll survive, because that's what Louise has always had to do. Survive. Especially when it became more and more obvious that nobody was planning on stepping in to help anytime soon. Stupid. So stupid. An hour or two later, curled up on the mangy sofa patterned like an old Betty's blouse, where the landlord got his hands on something so horrible, Louise never wants to know. She wonders idly what all those managers are dining on tonight. Probably salmon or something, with posh chocolates to stuff their smug faces with afterwards, and congratulate themselves on how hard they'd worked to get there. After all, a lot of them probably think, as the next course is delivered on nothing less than a silver platter. I was never handed anything on my plate, because they're obviously the ones who have to fight tooth and nail every damn day just to make some sort of a life for themselves, with all the odds stacked against them from the start to boot. Louise mechanically tugs the blankets a bit higher in a half-hearted effort to both hold back the urge to beat her fists against the floor like a toddler and block out the familiar chill in the air. How likely is it that she has enough left in her wallet to pick up some food and, gasp, top up the gas meter? Somehow, she thinks. Not very. That's a nice little snag, isn't it? She tries hard too, from the second her alarm pries her out of bed till she can crawl back into it. Even then, she lies awake time and time again, tormenting herself over the bells and the bugs. Yet who's busy snatching up the rewards for all that? For the long, grinding hours, the festering rubbish piles stinking up the street corner, and gaggles of teenagers dogging her every step with slurs and threats whenever she has to wade through it for bloody everything. Who wins? The system, always, leeching off the blood and sweat and tears of those who can't protect themselves because the damn thing has no face and a million faces at the same time. The system, and everyone who pulls its strings and makes it dance its little dance, is just plain broken, maybe beyond repair, and stupid. So very stupid. Why should she pander to it? Reality comes to bite Louise yet again, this time in the form of bang after muffled bang juddering the ceiling. The people responsible, and she knows damn well who, aren't bothering to keep the voices down either. Someone spikes hot as lava in her chest. She holds the blankets away, slams her hand down on the tatty arm of the sofa, pushes herself to her feet. No, not this. Not tonight. Within seconds, she's out of her flat and up the dingy stairs. Could they pull in as an interior designer, Batman, onto the next floor? Before you can hammer on the door of flat 3B and bellow, "Shut it!" though, one of its denizens comes staggering out, clothes hanging off her and reeking of sweat. She gnashes her teeth as soon as she spots Grease standing there with her fists clenched. "Don't you go putting your dirty finger anywhere near our door." The words are a lot less impressive than the old bat probably thinks. For one thing, they're the kind of garble that can only come from the bottom of a bottle. For another, the precious dwarf she's so protective of is already chipped and dented to all hell. Are you really this thick, or just too bladdered to get it through your skull? Louise flings back, chin jutting. Her shoulder gives another reproachful twinge as she jabs a finger in the direction of the floor below. Nice for the pair of you that you've walked out turning into a herd of elephants every bloody night, but none of us want to hear it. The other woman's bloodshot eyes widen, face wheeling through an interesting spectrum of reds. You think you can stand there and tell me what to do ya? Do ya? You stupid. There it is. The low blow. It doesn't send Louise reeling anymore. She's been living with it way too long for that. It doesn't stop it from being something that always manages to pierce the armor she's had to build around herself though. She knows fine and well what kind of poison everyone drips about her. Martyred in the backs of their hands or hollowed in her face, it's all the same. Still, she wouldn't have thought a bit of peace would really be so much to ask for. Another thing she must be wrong about. So she turns and walks away. A mixture of gleeful cackles and slurred threats from behind her breaking through the brittle air. Sounds like Louise can expect eggs splattered onto every inch of her own door tomorrow morning. She just loves it when her neighbours greet her with breakfast. What a friendly, cosy little community a lot of them have here. That flare of satisfaction darts through her veins again when she kicks her door shut. It makes the raging storm inside her audible and helps her to blot out the world as best she can. Who cares if someone might hear her? Who listens anyway? Nobody. That's her. Louise stands there for a few minutes. Just stands, with ringing ears. Her head gives a little spasm in a certain direction. Maybe some twisted part of her is just drawn to it at this point. She doesn't want to, but as though by a magnet, her gaze is dragged over there anyway. Towards the mirror, hanging askew across the room. She puts it off for as long as she can, pecking restlessly at a pock mark on the frame. Mirrors. She hates them. All they ever done is show her this. Her eyes zero in on everything humanly possible, from tracing every wrong curve on her face, every wrong line of her chest and shoulders and legs, and right down to marking the size and shape of her hands. God, it's all wrong and stupid. The air is too thick. Her hands grip one another over her head as if to somehow shield her. There's no hiding from the prickling beneath her skin. Not right now. Even so, her feet begin to carry her up and down, a bit like what's going on inside her head. Just a little bit extra month. That's all she needs. Her picks up speed like a train pulling out of the station at that thought. £9 for the mirror to reflect back at her the image she's wanted so much for so long. And then, what? What then? Louise slowly lowers her hands, staring at the dusty specks swirling their sluggish way through the air without really seeing them. She knows damn well how the world views her. Hell, more like looks down on her. Why should she expect some injections, no matter how precious they are to her, to burst whatever nice thick bubble they're all living in? So very stupid. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't. The sofa cushions catch her as the bones seem to disappear out of her legs. She will not end up like her mother, ducking and diving, spending her days glued to god-awful chat shows, running away at the tiniest bit of hassle. And besides, soon there won't be any need to toss and turn at night or suffocate the pitch of her voice, or the awkward hang of her clothes, or strangers throwing her death stares in the street and tugging the kids away from her, like she's about to eat the little darlings alive when all she's trying to do is get home. Soon, she'll be tearing down the barriers everyone thinks they can obstruct her with. She clutches the bundle of blankets against her empty stomach, and clings onto that promise. Stairs from every corner. They bar in the back of her head and follow her into the room until she pushes the door shut in their faces with one clumsy hand. The other just about manages to keep hold of the papers. Those papers. The interviewer hardly bothers to glance up at Louise. Obviously, she's just another bump in his morning, another bit of business to rid himself of. She slaps on a smile and tucks her fingers in as best she can to hide the frayed ends of her nails, all the same. He gives a vague gesture, which she can only assume is his way of directing her to take the chair across from him, one of those stiff plastic jobs that look as if they were stolen from some preschool, without having to waste his breath on her. Somehow, she manages to plant herself down without actually biting her tongue into it. They should hire me just for that, she reflects grimly. Now here it is. The moment, as Louise has been calling it. She blows out her breath and slackens her grip on the papers, sliding them across the table. One is her CV. Meager, hastily put together, but at least it has Louise Deegan printed on it black and white. And the other is her birth certificate, which has something different in a way she can barely bring herself to look at. His high hand of mightiness glances over both, expression never so much as twitching, until it does. Louise watches every flicker with a tight throat. She's used to this. The moment when the penny drops and people calling on to her, or what, says this one thing tends to automatically brand her as something subhuman in their eyes. They've got in front of them. If only that could make it any easier. If bloody only. He says nothing. He's probably not allowed to. Not to her face, anyway. Something in the room still shifts, like the table separating them has suddenly grown another 20 feet. Louise is used to that too. How much better than how everyone thinks they are, written all over their faces. It's just stupid. She jumps through the usual hoops. Her short employment history, her reasons for wanting to leave her current job. She thought up some generic answer ahead of time. And the rest. She needs this. So badly. Yet there he sits, not troubling himself to nod at anything she says, letting silence hang between them as soon as he's asked all the questions on his little script. Then he finally sees fit to raise his head, but it's like he's looking right through Louise, at the grey and ivory wallpaper behind her. Her heart throws itself against the cage of her chest. Sweat creeps across her clenched palms. His words are cold and steady. Careful, even. But they fall like a hammer blow. I'll leave her head enough for now. If you could close the door on your way out. His monotone, thank you for thinking of us, spiral rushes past Louise's ears like the water she dripped her head into this morning. How else was she supposed to make any attempt at scrubbing her when the landlord won't get off his horse and fix her shower? She sure as hell can't afford to call someone in herself. She barely remembers to retrieve those fatal papers before she all but dives back into the waiting room, where that sea of withering stairs surges higher and higher. It freezes every limb, so she can't even smash her knuckles into those stupid faces, blurs the edges of her vision, smothers her nose and mouth. It always circles back to this. No matter what she tries to do, no matter how many back-breaking days or sleepless nights she passes. Here she is again, slumped at the same old table, while muffled thuds and drunken bawling from the floor above echo around her skull, and a phone she doesn't think will ever be ringing anytime soon watches her from the corner. The same old bells spread out in front of her, cold as a death warrant. And the same old tears sting her eyes. Stupid. So stupid.